Hi guys, welcome back. In the last video, we have learned how to load a WKWebView into the UI and how to load a simple URL request and to load a simple string which is created and loaded into a WKWebView. In this video, we are going to learn how to load a HTML page which is present in our local resource folder, and also how to use script handlers. Okay, let's go to the method where we can load an HTML page which is available in the resource folder into the WKWebView. So I have this method called load URL. So here what I'm doing is I'm fetching an HTML page which I have created and made available in the resources folder. I'm getting the resource URL from the bundle and then creating a URL request, and just as we saw earlier, I'm going to load it as a URL request. That's enough to get the content loaded. Let's give it a try. Okay, now I have the content loaded here. So all the information that is being loaded comes from the start HTML. I will come back to this HTML in a while. Now let's see another method in which I am going to load the same content by reading the content of the file. So in the earlier method, we directly loaded the resource URL. Now we are going to read the content and then load it as a string. Here you can see again I'm going to get the HTML path. I'm going to read the contents of the HTML file and then create a base URL and then use the load HTML string to load the contents and provide a base URL as the file URL. Why this base URL is required? In my start HTML page, I am having a script which is hello.js, which is inside the scripts folder. By default, the HTML page won't have access to these files, these folders. So you have to specify a base URL which is going to be the base directory of your start HTML so that the relative path can be accessed. So if I give it as nil, the contents won't be properly loaded. That is another method of loading the contents into WKWebView. Now let's have a look at the HTML file that I have created. So these are the general header information. So I am giving the JavaScript path here. I have a heading testing.js. I have a button which is like post a script. I have a button which throws up an alert. I have a link which takes you to google.com. I have an image which is a smiley image. Now I have another script which is a post script. What it does is when I click post a script message, this function is going to get executed. Now let's have a look at our JS file. So in the JS file, I have few methods. One is left tab, right tab, change image path, and on Windows onload function. Now let's see how these things are linked with our native app. Now you can see I have run the app again. If I click the post a script message button, you can see here in the console that I got a message, received script message, posting a script. So from the web page, you got a callback into your native app. Now let's click the left button. You could see a native pop-up coming up showing left. So this was a normal button in your interface. On clicking that, I send a message into the web view to show an alert. Let's click right, so you can see that here. Now let's click change image. This will change the existing image to a new image. So these are the functions which was present in your JavaScript file: left tab, right tab, change image path, and an on log. How we are invoking this and how I got a call back into the console? Well, the answer is script handlers. In WKWebView, we have something called WK script handler. In this project, I have separated out the WK script handler into a separate class so that it becomes a bit modularized. If we go into the WK script handler class, you can see that it is derived from WK message handler, and you can see an array of event which is post a script and size notification, and a method register scripts and events, and you have an init when which I am sending an instance of the web view where you want to create or register the script handlers, which is kind of a injection. In the register scripts and event, you can see we are getting a user content controller from the WKWebView configuration. In the controller, we are setting the events, which is the post a script and size notification. Now the controller will start listen to these post messages. Whenever any call comes from the JavaScript or the web page with post a script or size notification function, the controller will handle that. Now you have a delegate function. User content controller did receive message. Whenever a message comes with the name post a script or size notification, this delegate method gets called and you will get the value in the message body. You can check, there can be, the body can be in different format. You can check and parse it accordingly. This is where you saw that message received script message post a script. From where it came? If we go to start.html, we have seen one method here. The moment I click post a script message, I am going to call this function post a script. So this is how you throw something into the native world. You have to follow something like window.webkit.messageHandler and the function name and post message and the data. So which is the format is going to be like this. So here I have defined two methods, which is size notification and post a script, and in our script handlers we are listening to those two. Whenever a message comes from post a script or size notification, we will get a delegate callback and you can make use of the data which comes from there. Okay, so that is the flow from the WKWebView to the native class. Now how we can execute a function which is there in the WKWebView from the native class. Let's go to view controller. Okay, I have a function written here, evaluate with JavaScript expression, which takes a string, which in turn calls WKWebViews evaluate JavaScript. So this is the guy who help us in calling any method which is present in the WKWebView. What happens here is you are sending the JavaScript function as a plain string. Say for example, right tapped. So I am sending the function or as a string which get executed in the web view, which will end up in calling this right tab over here. Only thing is your function names and syntax should match. And if you have a parameter, say I have a method to change the path, so I have to send a new path here, so you have to format it and send it as a string. Everything is taken care by evaluate JavaScript. Yes, and it has a completion handler with which you can check whether the execution was successful or not. There can be multiple issues regarding the format, the paths, all those things which can be figured out using the error object. Okay. So two things to interact between WKWebView and the native component, you need WK script message handler and WKWebViews evaluate JavaScript. Those two are the necessary components with which you can talk between the native code and the WKWebView contents. Now there is another way to inject scripts dynamically into the web page. Let's go back to our another method, load string. In the load string, what we are doing is we are just loading a one plain string which doesn't have any JavaScript component, etc. Let's run it. Okay, now we can see the page got loaded. Now I am going to click this left right button. You can see that there are no methods loaded in this WKWebView, so that the script get executed and you are getting a JavaScript exception occurred because it is unable to find those right tapped or left tapped methods in the current instance of the WKWebView which is being loaded. Now let's fix this. Let's go to the WKWebView script handler class, go to register scripts and events. So here the controller has another feature called add user script, wherein which you can add a dynamic script into the WKWebView. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to read all the content present in our hello.js and going to inject into the WKWebView. So you have something like this. You will be creating a WK user script. The source is going to be the JavaScript which we read from the hello.js. Injection time at document end, there are multiple options at document start and document end. Then I am going to apply it for the main frame only. Now let's okay, now let's try to click the button. Yes, this means the JavaScript has been executed now. So even though our HTML content was very simple, we were able to add and inject a script into the web page. Now let's see how we can debug. Debugging a web view or a web view is pretty tricky. First thing is, you can debug a web view only once the web contents are being loaded. That means you cannot probably debug why a particular content is loaded, not getting loaded or not, or why a particular page is not getting loaded or not, because only once the HTML content is fully loaded you will be able to debug it. Let's debug this page. First you need to go to Safari, select develop. You can see all the instances, like let's say if you are running multiple if you are connecting a device as well as simulator and opening up multiple browsers, then all the instances shows up here. So right now I have simulator iPhone 8 Plus. Since I have not given any title, you get about blank. Now let's click about blank. You get into the debug menu, just same as how you debug any web page. Now you can see in the debugger or in the resources you have a user script which has the left tab, right tab methods here. Now let's go to my simulator. I'm going to tap left and you can see that the breakpoint hit in the web inspector, and you can do step into step out, all those normal things. So you can see what all contents are getting loaded, etc. So it's pretty easy. If you are connecting a device also, it works the same way. So that's all with WKWebView. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.